Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro was released on Netflix. So let's go through it category by category and review it. So we're going to be doing some light spoilers here. So if you haven't seen it, you might want to go and check it out, then come back and talk to us. But we're going to start with the visuals category. So what do we see on the screen? We're going to see some of the most crispy shots that I've ever seen. Netflix has this tendency to put out this ultra HD version of some of their movies. I noticed it with some of the other movies that I've seen in the past that were released on Netflix. Here, it was very noticeable that in the frozen scenes, you could see the frozen strands of hair in the sailors' beards. It was just HD to the max, the most megapixels that I've ever seen. It really came across as like really stunning visuals. I watched it parts like on two separate TVs just to see if my eyes weren't deceiving me, and they weren't. This thing was incredibly sharp when it came to the colors, when it came to the way that the film was rendered, when it, the high quality of it all. Now that's the quality, of the visuals category. But what about the performances? We got Oscar Isaac being the most horrible person, mad scientist that he could be. We got Jacob Elordi as our monster. I really enjoyed his performance, a lot of emotion, a lot of range in his monster performance. Mia Goth is here and she puts out a really good performance, but I really didn't care for how her character was written, and we're going to circle back to that. But since we're talking about writing, let's move into the story category and talk about the story. And I must say, when it comes to watching this movie and thinking about the major themes of it all, I think a lot about the parenting side of it. People tend to do what they see growing up, whether it was good for them or bad for them. And that is exactly what our Victor Frankenstein character does. I think about the fact that his father did what he did, to get him to learn and remember and express ideas. And then he reverted right back to that same type of treatment when he was trying to get his own creation to like be vocal and learn and vocalize things and express the knowledge that he wanted his creation to have, just like his father tried to get him to express the knowledge he expected him to possess at that age. It was wild to see the parallels, and I hope that everybody caught that when they watched it. Now, I'm not certain about this. I can't be 100%, but I do feel like the Victor Frankenstein character kind of acknowledges his shortcomings, like slightly, and realizes his mistakes and his errors with his creation in the final scenes of the movie. So I'm hoping that was intentional, and I'm hoping that I wasn't reading too much into it, but it did appear that like he finally got it at the end. Way too late, but he finally got it. Another reason why I feel like the story is very good is because they didn't shy away from the self-discovery that happens in the second half of the movie. So the first half of the movie, you get the Victor Frankenstein story and how did he get to the point where the film opens. And then you get the monster, the creation, his version of events that happen after Victor Frankenstein's story kind of concludes. And so we get a journey of self-discovery with the creation, and the creation learns and he befriends and he deals with different emotions and he reads and he becomes knowledgeable and well-spoken. And that was really cool that they pushed into that and didn't shy away from that. It gave the ending and all the other cool stuff like the action. It gave all that stuff so much more value on the back half of the movie because you didn't shy away from that self-discovery in the second half. But since they decided to keep all that, that leads me to the conversation on pace. And so when we talk about the pace of this movie, it did feel long. And the thing about a movie feeling long is that it's not just about the movie feeling long, because time, it always feels different depending on like the tone of the story. If it's an action adventure, it may not feel very long, but if it has some dramatic moments, then you may feel the movie kind of slowing down a bit, and that stuff will make you feel the time differently than if it was a fun action comedy type of thing. So with all that being said, I think that some of the dramatic stuff here could have been cut and you could still end up with I feel like essentially the same movie. And when I say that, I'm circling all the way back to my comments that I made about Mia Goth. I think her performance was good, and I understand that her character was necessary in terms of creating a slight connection with the creation, and then also her death meaning something to him and for the audience, that we got to see her go through the things that she went through and see her connect with the creature the way she connected. It gives the creature some motivation to feel that vengeance and that anguish that he felt as the movie progressed after her death. And also, we understand why he was so enraged in the opening. That all kind of connects. But I also feel like the relationship stuff that they kind of flirted at between her and Victor Frankenstein, I think that stuff could have been cut and you could probably still have the same movie. And listen, I'm not saying that I disliked it, but I do have to admit and be straight up and say I think the movie could have been leaner had you taken that stuff out. Now, moving right along to entertainment value, and this was a Netflix movie, right? So I watched it at home. Now, my wife had no interest in watching Frankenstein. There was nothing that I could do to convince her to look at it. But when I put it on and she got glimpses of the story as the story was unfolded, specifically with the opening of the movie really had her invested because they opened with a bang. And so she was caught up in it, and but she wasn't really committed to it all the way because there were elements of the movie with the gore and stuff that just kind of turned her off. So she would leave and go do something. She would come back and be like, what happened? Like, how did we get here? And what's going on? Are they going to show how they ended up in this place and this and that and this and that? So there was a level of interest that was generated just off the visuals and just off the story that she saw in the opening scenes. And so she came in and out quite a bit, but she found herself like really giving a damn about something that she had no interest in just because, hey, the stuff that I'm seeing is pretty cool. Like, I think about the wolf scene. She came in with the wolves had attacked that elderly man. And so she was like, oh, they got the old man. And she sat down and watched things play out. Of course, the opening, we already mentioned how it was an action-packed opening. She saw that thing happen. And then once the movie kind of slowed down, they started giving you backstory. Okay, she checked out and went do something else. But those two moments and several other moments in the movie that she was like, hey, this is really cool. I kind of want to see where it goes, but at the same time, I'm not a big Frankenstein person, so I'm gonna go do something else right now. But I think it's something noticeable there that the visuals, the story kind of caught her and had her seated for a moment. So that's something. Overall, I give the movie a 7 out of 10, but in my opinion, this is a tier above most movies that I actually watch. When I think about making a list of top movies at the end of the year, if I'm doing a top 10, this might actually crack that top 10. I do have quite a few more that I need to get on and look at, but right now, Frankenstein might actually make the cut as a top 10 movie of the year. It was a cool experience. Uh, Again, maybe I get too sentimental about things, but I feel like it was a kind of a beautiful story. And so I liked it. I'm really high on it. That's all I got for this one, y'all. If y'all have any questions or any comments, please drop them in the comment section below. I thank you so much if you've watched it thus far. And that's all we got for this one. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.